Diane in Denmark here. Welcome back to sunny Copenhagen. Once again, it is feeling tropical here. I know I've mentioned it to you before, but we live in the cold north. We don't have air conditioning here because generally we don't have this kind of heat wave, and if we do get these temperatures, it's normally 2 or 3 days in a row in high summer. So this for us, the month of May, has been fantastic. And even in the first half of May, the temperatures and the heat and the sunshine combined were the same as we had in the whole of last year's Danish summer. So that just shows you what incredible weather we've been having. Anyway, it continues, and I'm kind of sitting here underneath the parasol, so I hope you can see me. I'm just waiting for the laundry to do its last spin, and then I'm going to be out hanging laundry. I was out to an appointment early, and I'm dressed to shoes. I've got my sandals on, but I'm just about to change into my welly boots because I'm going to be taking some elderflowers. We've got elderflower bushes here, and I'm going to show you how to make some elderflower champagne if you're interested in that. But anyway, before we get into that, I just wanted to share a few things about the weekend. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know what I'm kind of up to every day. You know, I'm not always making a YouTube video, but I'm on Instagram basically 24 hours a day. To keep myself accountable, I post, you know, outfit for the day, what we're having for dinner, and, you know, what I'm decluttering or what I'm working on. And at the weekend it was really hot again, and I mentioned that I was doing gardening. And a few people asked, you know, for tips on how to do the gardening when it's so hot, or the usual thing when we just don't want to do it. Like last week I had a case of the blahs. So here we go again. I mean, I've mentioned these before, you've heard them all before, but they're worth mentioning. And you can use them not just for the gardening things, but for anything that you don't feel like doing, or something that you need to do and you don't really think you've got time to do it. So anyway, the number one, of course, will be using the trusty timer. Now, I've said this before, just set the timer. It doesn't need to be for, you know, the Flylady 15 minutes. Set your timer for 5 or 10 minutes and say, right, I'm going to edge the lawn, or I'm going to start, I don't know, deadheading some plants. And when the timer goes off, I get to stop. And just the very fact of saying to yourself, okay, when the timer goes off, I get to stop, that is often enough just to give us that initial push to get us started. So that's what I usually use to get me started. You know, if I look out the window and I think, oh, look at all the apples that have fallen onto the lawn and I need to pick them up, I just say, you know what, I'm going to do 10 minutes, and after that I'm going to take a break or do something else. And often it's enough to get the job done. So timer, as usual. The other thing that I use quite often is a trigger. So if I'm waiting for something else to happen, like the other day I knew you know, a parcel was coming, and the parcel man here is very regular in the hours that he comes, and I knew he was, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go out, and I was edging the borders, I was weeding the edge, and I thought, I'll do that before he turns up. And that way it's kind of putting an end point on the task that, you know, I want to get this done before he arrives, so I was out doing that. So if you use little triggers, or say to yourself, you know, I'm going to do it before I have lunch, or do it before, I don't know, the kids come home from school. Just the very fact of having that trigger in your head, it's one of those little Jedi Mind Tricks that makes us get the job done, instead of just thinking, oh, today I need to do something. If you set a finished time on it, that is a very powerful method. Now, the other thing that I do when I'm actually out doing the job is I've got a wee headset. You've maybe seen me using, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. I've got a wee headset that I use, and that's quite often, you know, if I'm doing something like, I don't know, weeding, or if I'm doing some cleaning inside, I'll put my headset and I'll phone my mum, and mum and I will just chat for half an hour, and I don't notice that I'm actually doing the job. Now, obviously you don't want to be, you know, a surgeon operating somebody on the operator, but if you're going through a kind of manual labour chore, like, I don't know, mopping the floor, or doing some weeding, it's good just to have that in the background and just be chatting to somebody. Or the other thing that I use an awful lot is I've got my I can use my little headset to do that, or my headphones, and I listen to music. Now, music is really powerful for me. I love music, and I'm really into electronic music. I was a punk when I was from the age of 10, 12, so I've always loved punk music, electronic music, house music, and all that. So I love my music, and I have like about 50 different playlists on Deezer. Deezer is like Spotify. So I'm always listening to that when I'm working around the house. And if you're not into music, how about something like a podcast or an audio book? Because Teresa, hello Teresa, in Wales, she mentioned a book the other day that she was reading. I thought it was fantastic. And I couldn't get the kind of book, you know, the old-fashioned book from the library here, because actually we can get tons of fantastic books here in English or in Spanish or whatever language, all for free. But I managed to get the audiobook, so I'm going to be listening to the audiobook that she recommended. And don't ask me what it is, because I can't remember it offhand, but it'll be on Instagram somewhere. So I'm going to be using that this week when I'm doing a wee spot of gardening. But the main thing is I just do 10 or 15 minutes at a time. But anyway, let me get my wellies on, get my elderflower blossom heads cut, and I shall show you how to make the champagne. Right, got my wellies on. I don't know if you can see that there. And I thought we'd just show you the elderflower bushes. Now, be careful with this. Do not go making stuff like this if you don't know what the plant is. I don't want anybody to be eating poisonous berries. But this is the elderflower. These are just some small ones. I'll try and show you a bit further up, because I've got a very large kind of chopper thing. But you can see that's what they look like. And I'm going to go for the ones at the very top of here, the ones which are in the sun and which are open. Anyway, I'll see you in the kitchen. Okay, here's another wee close-up. This is what they look like, and they've got quite a pungent smell. Go if you can get the really fresh ones, the open ones, and maybe not the ones which are just starting to turn brown. There's not a problem with these, but the fresher the better. Anyway, let me get them into the kitchen and get them washed. Right, so we're in the kitchen, got my penny on. I've washed I've washed elderflower heads just to make sure there aren't any wee bugs on them. And what you're going to need is a really big pot. Now, normally I make double this recipe. I'm only making half of my usual recipe today, and I'm going to make it again when I've got more elderflowers which are in bloom. But anyway, I thought we'd share it with you now, and then also we can see how it is in about 6 weeks when the champagne is ready. Now, it's very, very simple. So don't blink, you know, like the Doctor Who thing. Don't blink because you'll miss what's happening. All we're going to be using, there's nothing weird that you need for this, and the reason that I started making elderflower champagne instead of elderflower cordial was that one year I didn't have a special sachet of, what is it, it's some kind of citric acid that you put in it to make the cordial, and an awful lot of sugar, and I thought, oh, I can't be bothered with all that hassle. You know me, jump over where the bar is lowest. And I found this one which only uses, now here it comes, you've got your elderflower heads. I've got 5 nice elderflower heads. Sugar, quite a lot of sugar, some white wine vinegar. Don't go using balsamico for this, but any kind of, you know, white vinegar will do. And a lemon, and that is it, and plus water, and that's all that's going to turn into this fantastic elderflower champagne. Anyway, so you're going to need a big pot, because this is like my small IKEA pot, and that's my big one. I've been using my big one for this. And luckily, I've got 2 of these. I mean, if you're using it in your biggest pot, you're not going to be able to use it for at least 24 hours. So, you know, kind of plan ahead. It is Plan and Play Day Tuesday. Right, so I've got my pot here, and you just put in your flowers, which you're going to just check and make sure there's no wee bugs or anything. So I've got 5 heads, so it's really not a lot, but they've got a really pungent smell and they give a fantastic flavour. Now, after that, you're going to chop up a lemon, and it doesn't need to be, here's another great thing, it doesn't need to be fancily chopped, and you don't need to take out the pips. You know, you don't need to take the pith. Is anyone taking the pith? Just put in the whole shebang. There we are. And really, it doesn't matter how finely you chop it or not. And in with that, I love that smell of lemon. And then we're going to add the sugar and the white wine vinegar. So let me just get a wee spoon. And we're using a tablespoon. Right, so I'm going to put in, let me see, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Yeah, because normally when I make this recipe I make double, but I'm just using 1 today. So 5 heads, 1 lemon, or half a lemon is actually fine. 1 tablespoon vinegar. And then I'm going to add in the sugar, and let me just get my scales set up. And it'll be 375 grams of sugar, which, let me just check, which is like half a pound of sugar. Actually, this is a great thing to make with the kids because it's all the science of the natural yeast. And right, let me get the 3, 7, shake. 375. So 375 is just normal granulated sugar. And I wouldn't go using any like brown sugar, just plain granulated white sugar. And then let me just check the water, because I normally, if I'm making double, I would use 4.5 litres. Okay, so I want 2.25 litres of water, which will be about 4.5 pints if you're using the old imperial measurement. So what did I say? I said 2.25 litres. Right, so that's 1. Remember, it doesn't need to be that precise. Okay, there's 1 and another one. One, 2, and then I need 1/4 litre. Right, there we go, Bob's your uncle. And then let me show you what just give it a wee stir. Oh, what a pretty picture that would make if I could stop and make a picture. Right, hold on, let me see if I can pull it out without pulling the camera and everything else over. I'm going to do it that way. Ooh, doesn't that look nice? Okay, now this champagne is so simple. All you're going to do is you're just going to give it a wee stir just to kind of dissolve it. You're not really dissolving the sugar because I mean it's cold water. But you know, just give it a wee stir, and then all you have to do, and that's basically it, all you have to do is put the lid of the saucepan on it and put it in a cool, dark place for 24 hours. Now, how easy is that? And then I'll talk you through the next part, but I'll show you in the next video that I make, and then when we get the final champagne in about 6 weeks time, and then I'll put all the little bits together so that you've got a full video. But I'll just film right now as we're going along. So what you're going to do is you're just going to give that a wee stir, lid on, and then just put it somewhere cold and dark. If it's really, really hot where you are and you don't have a really cold and dark place, I mean, you could put it in the fridge for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. It really doesn't matter. All that's going to happen is it's going to infuse. Oh, hold on, let me just check something here. No, it's okay, I'm surplus to requirements. I thought somebody required me. So I'm going to put that away, and then tomorrow I will be straining it and bottling it. Now, just if you're wanting to kind of play along and make the same thing, you can use plastic soda bottles, but a lot of pressure builds up in these. It's going to be sitting for 6 weeks, and it has it's the natural yeast which turns into the fizz, and it's going to be like champagne. It's going to be very fizzy. Now, and I didn't believe this at first. I thought, how can that happen with just these few, vinegar and water and sugar and the lemon? And anyway, it will be very, very fizzy. So you might like to think about, if you're thinking about making this, start now, and anytime you have like a wine bottle, or one of these, like the equivalent of mason jars, these type. If you get those ready, now I'm only making a small amount, and you'll be able to see that this is the amount of champagne that you're going to end up with. So I'll probably have 2.5 bottles, 3 bottles. If you're going to make a large amount, make sure that you've got the bottles ready, because don't be making like a huge amount and then suddenly you've got no bottles to put them into, because then it's not going to work for you. So anyway, plan ahead, and I'm going to keep my video short here, but it is Plan and Play Tuesday. It's Flylady Plan and Play Tuesday. So you might want to take your trusty timer, the timer, set it for 10 minutes, and sit down and plan your menu for the week. I mean, I've actually already done hours because I'm trying just to keep afloat this week. So we're having Thai prawns with rice, we're having quiche another day, I'm just looking at my diary here. We're having coronation chicken with salad one day, we're having chops, pork chops with risotto, we'll be having sandwiches and soup one evening. So just sit down, with timer in 10 minutes, and also look at your diary, see what's coming up. I've actually just booked a wee trip to see my mum, my dear old mum in Edinburgh, hooray! So I'll be going to see her very soon. So I need to do a couple of things about that, some things that I'm planning for going. And also, as I said, it is the end of the school term here. Do you need to buy toffees? Do you have the tradition where you are that the kids, the 9th graders, that they throw toffees on their last day of school and they throw it to the younger kids? If that's you this year, make sure that you need to get them down on your errand list and make sure you've bought the toffees. Do you need to buy congratulations graduation card? Get those down on your list for errand day, but have a wee look in your diary today and just see what's coming up. As I've said to you before, I follow these systems because it helps take away the fog that's between my ears, and at this time of year definitely it helps me to stay afloat. Anyway, I am going off to finish my morning routine because I can hear my washing machine has done its final spin, and I'm going to hang it up outside and be able to get it folded and put away in one day. Hooray! I love the simple pleasures of summer. Anyway, see you very soon. Diane in Denmark saying, live long and prosper, may the hygge be with you. And the Star Wars film yesterday, I really enjoyed it, but we'll talk about that another time. See you very soon.